You know that feeling? We've all felt it. That rising tide of pressure in a world that just seems to get more chaotic by the day. It's stress, right? But what if we could actually decode it, really get under the hood to understand its mechanics, and in the process, find some pretty surprising ways to build our own resilience? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
And look, this isn't just about having a bad day. It's a really serious challenge of modern life. As researchers like Ahmad point out, this kind of continuous stress is directly linked to major health issues like depression. So, understanding this stuff isn't just some academic thing, it's absolutely essential for our well-being. So I want you to think about the last time you felt that jolt of stress. Maybe a looming deadline, a tough conversation. What was actually going on inside you? It feels like total chaos, right? But what's wild is that it's actually a super organized, ancient biological process. And that whole process is run by what we can basically call the body's stress engine, the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, or, a lot easier to say, the HPA axis for short. This is the central command system for your body's entire stress response. Okay, so what's really cool about this diagram is how it lays out the whole chain of command. See, it all starts up here in the brain, with the hypothalamus. It sends a signal down to the pituitary gland, right below it. Then the pituitary sends another signal way down to the adrenal glands, which are these little guys sitting right on top of your kidneys. It's this very precise top-down communication system.
So here's how it all goes down. It's like a cascade, a series of dominoes falling. First, when your brain senses a threat, the hypothalamus releases a hormone called CRH. That's the first domino. CRH then zips over to the pituitary, telling it to release another hormone, ACTH, into your bloodstream. And when ACTH finally reaches the adrenal glands, boom, they release cortisol, the famous stress hormone that puts your entire body on high alert.
Now, this system is so complex and so incredibly important that for decades, scientists have been on this quest to build a perfect digital replica of it, to basically code a mathematical model that behaves just like the real thing inside of us. And wow, as you can see here, it has been a long and winding road. I mean, it started with the very first basic computer models way back in 1994. Since then, scientists have just been adding more and more layers of complexity, factoring in time delays, the role of the hippocampus, even bringing in other hormone pathways, all to make the model more and more accurate. And all that work brings us right up to a pretty recent breakthrough, a brand new mathematical model, the one from the research by Imran Ahmed and his team that gives us a much clearer picture of how this entire system works.
So what's the big deal? What makes this one so special? Well, it's not just one thing, it's a bunch of things. It integrates more moving parts than ever. It includes the super complex role of the hippocampus, which is vital for memory and for regulating stress. It adds another key hormone pathway, AVP. It even models our natural daily cycles using a daylight function, and it accounts for this tiny little feedback loop. All these details add up to a way more realistic simulation.
And the result of all that work? The model reduced the error in predicting cortisol levels by nearly 8%. Now, I know what you're thinking. 7.84% might not sound like a lot. But trust me, in the world of predictive biology, that is a huge leap forward. It means the digital model is acting much more like a real human being. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at the data. On these graphs, the black line, that's what the model predicted. The colored dots, that's real data from actual patients. Look at how closely that black line now tracks the real-world data points. It is a much better fit. Okay, so why does this all matter? Why should we care about a more accurate model? Well, because a better model is like having a better map. It helps us understand exactly what's going wrong in the HPA axis in conditions like PTSD and major depression, which, down the line, could lead to much more effective treatments.
All right, so we've got this incredibly intricate biological engine for stress. Understanding the science helps us see what's happening on a chemical level. But what about us? What about our psychological response? How can we actually build resilience when we're up against this hardwired system? Well, this is where we make a really interesting shift, from the body's response to the mind's incredible capacity for creativity.
You know, we all have this idea, right? That creativity needs this warm, fuzzy, supportive environment to blossom. But the research points to this fascinating and honestly powerful paradox. There's a really strong link between facing adversity as a kid and having exceptional creativity later in life. It seems that hardship can actually be a catalyst. So how in the world does that work? How can something so negative, like hardship, lead to something so positive, like creativity? Well, one theory says it's all about how creativity helps us make sense of our inner world.
and even restructure it. This idea is captured perfectly in something called honing theory. Basically, the idea is that our worldview, our unique way of seeing things, is always trying to organize itself. When we face chaos or challenges, creativity is the process we use to make sense of it all. It reduces that inner chaos and helps us build a stronger, more coherent understanding of our world.
And this process, as you might guess, is deeply therapeutic. When you're creating something, doesn't matter if it's painting, writing, playing an instrument, you're getting to know yourself better. You're tapping into things that are really hard to put into words. It can seriously improve your sense of who you are. And when we share what we create, we connect with other people in a really profound way.
This all points to this really powerful idea that researchers have called creative mindfulness. Now, we usually think that being mindful helps you be more creative, right? Well, they flip that completely on its head. They argue that the very act of being creative can, in itself, make you more mindful.
Just think about what mindfulness really is. It's built on these 3 pillars, right? It's about awareness of what's happening right now. It's about paying attention to new details. And it's about equanimity, which is just a fancy word for non-judgmental acceptance. When you're totally lost in a creative act, you are practicing all 3 of these things, whether you realize it or not.
And listen, the best part is you don't have to be some famous artist to get these benefits. Not at all. As this research confirms, just simple, daily, creative activity has a measurable positive impact on our emotional experience. It's a tool for well-being that every single one of us has access to.
So, we end with a question that really ties all of this together. We've seen this incredibly precise scientific model designed to map our stress response. But could it be that our own creative tools, a sketchbook, a journal, a guitar, are just as powerful in helping us not just understand, but truly manage our own experience of stress? Maybe the most powerful tool for decoding stress has been right inside us all along.